Hey everybody, I'm Tyler. This is my co-host Brad, and today we're gonna break down the tropes.
What the crap? What was that?
It makes sense if you think about it. You'll get it.
No, that made no sense.
It's fine. They already clicked. They're in. We got
You're
them.
right. They do know why they're here, I guess. But I think first we need to
Yeah, should we talk about this?
Yeah, no rolling today. It's in jail.
It's in jail.
It failed.
This is the one roll it gets. There.
Just leave it there. You're good to go. Dice jail. Sorry. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
We all know you do it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the first trope.
This is
The dice jail.
I should have thought to add that to our list. That's so good. Yeah, the person that puts their dice
in dice jail.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
I think one of these times we need to do like a heist quest about breaking dice out of jail.
Oh, that'd be funny. All these
rescuing your buddies from dice jail because the heist campaign. Oh man, that's gonna be a thing one day. All right,
that'll be good.
All right. Anyways,
I mean, hey, so if you read the description, you read the title, you know we're talking about player tropes. The internet is replete with making fun of these people and talking about how upset they are. Forums, Reddit, Facebook groups are replete with people saying, how do I deal with this person doing this thing?
Although I think we should all remember that we all probably have a little bit of these in us.
It's true.
So
we all fit some of these tropes.
Don't be too hard on your fellow players when they do this, because we've all done it probably to some degree.
It's true.
Just the ones that do it a lot.
It's true. So today we're going to talk through a few of those tropes.
How many we got today? We rolled 1d6, right?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
It's going to be 5.
You rolled a 5.
It's actually 5 plus 1 technically. So
5 plus 1?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
5 plus 1. Which is still like 1d6.
We've decided to start giving out bonuses because we keep rolling and people feel cheated. So, we decided to add a proficiency modifier.
Half proficiency modifier?
It
starts at 2, Tyler.
It's a YouTube proficiency.
Oh, YouTube proficiency. If you think our proficiency has gone up higher, let us know in the comments. Thank you.
If you're not listening on YouTube, we apologize.
Yeah, you're right. For the podcast.
Who's the first trope we have today, Brad?
I like to call him the clown.
And I like to call him the GTA.
Right. Because they're like your kleptomaniac, your murder hobo, as we like to say. The guys who decide to play the game as if a consequence does not exist.
Sure. Person in a dark cloak approaches you. I seduce him.
I stab it.
I rob him.
From behind. I rob it.
That's
I
right.
pick its pockets.
That's right. Super chaotic, but without reason.
And they probably picked chaotic so they could do whatever they wanted, thinking that's, I guess, they picked probably chaotic neutral so they could play the chaotic evil maybe sometimes, right?
So we all know what this is. We wanted to talk through 2 points with each of these tropes. How do you avoid being it? Because again, to Brad's earlier point, we've all been these
to a degree,
tropes before.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to the people to like, hey, stop being the clown.
When you fill a different trope,
right?
And the other thing is how to deal with maybe having one of these tropes at your table. So let's start with how do you avoid being a clown or a GTA? What kind of things can we do?
Well, if you watch our previous videos, we mentioned and talked about the Pinocchio principle.
And the Pinocchio principle is bringing all of the NPCs to life, making them real boys and girls.
NPCs are people too. The guy in the mysterious cloak. He probably is a person.
Yeah.
Unless he's not. But he's an NPC.
Yeah.
He's a real character, right?
A great way to visualize the Pinocchio principle is to say, if somebody walked in, they sat down at the table next to you with a character sheet, and they were that NPC, how would you interact with them? Because we would interact very differently with a player.
Usually when there's another player across the table, you will treat them differently because, it's a person, it's a player. You can see their face and see their eyes, the puppy dog tears.
They took time in this character. I don't want to, for instance, just...
And you have to play with them the next week, right? And so you hope and think that you'll treat them like a real person so they want to come back the week after,
drag him out of his cart. I take it and I start writing. And it's like, yeah.
Right.
That's a really good one. We also think that just consider your DM's feelings. Like they want
DMs
this to
are
be...
people too. Oh, no, wait.
Sometimes.
Oh, the other one.
Sometimes.
Sometimes your DMs are people. Sometimes they're not, right?
Yeah.
DMs are people too. Be nice to your DM. You have to put a lot of time into it. But along that point, though, right? DMs put tons of time into games. And oftentimes, you might be playing a homebrew world, right? They put lots of time into the world.
Yeah.
Treat it with respect.
Yeah. And if you want to get a little bit of what it feels like to be that DM, a little bit of that empathy sympathy. Maybe for a lot of tropes this works, but in particularly for the clown, offer to do a one-shot for your group.
That's a good idea.
If people are riding you hard and saying, man, you just never take these NPCs serious, or you always get us in trouble, or you always try to steal stuff and it annoys us. If people have had hard conversations with you, this is a good thing to do because you'll start to see it from the DM's perspective.
Give you a new perspective on the game.
Exactly.
And then I did it to Tyler once. He's never gone back. Now he loves DMing. I can't get him out of the chair. It's my turn, Tyler. It's my turn. Oh, wait. It is my turn. I am DMing.
You're currently DMing right now.
You're right. You're right.
You've got this shield right now.
Where's my shield? No, and I think you're actually right on that. Like, yeah, let them DM a little bit because, again, they'll give them that perspective. Give them that, oh, yeah, like, I put all this time and effort. Maybe I just shouldn't, steal it or pick its pockets or stab the dagger or something, right?
Right. And the last thing that we'd say to help you avoid being it, this also is a callback to an earlier improv video, is participating in what's called group mind.
And what's group mind, Tyler?
Group mind is where everyone at the table is trying to make everyone else at the table look good.
Right.
And if you're trying to make everybody else at the table look good,
you stop being selfish. Whoa.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that if everyone else at the table is trying to make you look good too, it's a really great synergy.
You're right.
And it can.
When it comes time to stab the thing, you'll probably do it better or not, and with your party helping you.
Yeah.
And
Brad,
not,
this is the best. How do you deal with one at your table? What do?
You kill him.
You kill him.
Straight up. Just
not even a joke.
You can't be mean about it. You can't be rude about it.
Don't be vindictive.
And people may argue with me, and you can let me know in the comments on this one. But I'm telling you guys, you let them go, because I think the biggest issue when people are being like this is they're not thinking, or they're not considering, or don't even want to think about or take into account the consequences of what's going on. Right.
Yep.
And I think that usually is what leads to behavior. It's like when they start dealing with real consequences, they probably shape up and change really fast.
It's so true. I mean, the GTA thing fills this role really well. When you're playing GTA, you can be as chaotic as you like, and typically whenever I play, I end up getting chased by a lot of cops, and
I haven't played the game. I just decided to play real games like D&D.
I have to respond
because they're fun.
A few minutes after I start getting chased, I have to respond because they caught up to me, and I faced the consequences
like Skyrim,
of my behavior.
Right? When you start join the Dark Brotherhood.
If you attack a chicken,
right? Like in Zelda, when you kill the chickens, all the chickens come after you and attack you, right?
That's true too.
You don't kill the chickens in Zelda; they will get you. Now, consequences, everybody. We all know they're there.
Sure.
Through the DM. Just have them start dealing with some of the consequences.
That's right. And if you're, in GTA, you just respawn and you maybe lost some equipment.
Yeah, in D&D, there's no responding.
Yeah, in D&D, it's like roll a new character, man. And it's like, well, you did these things, and the Town's Guard, absolutely, they chased you down. They formed a posse. Now there's this bounty hunter that's after you.
Yeah, you're a wanted character. There's assassins after you. You just took the wrong guy's gem, and now he wants to get it back.
Yep.
By taking your life.
Right.
Yep.
Now, that said, there needs to be that balance, but this is actually
again,
just making sure that, again, not vindictively.
Not vindictively.
This is just, you've created a world, and your world should have realistic consequences.
Just like any
realistic
other world
enough
does.
That, it can function, man.
If you took the time to create a world, hopefully you thought somewhat about the laws that might govern a city or a town, right?
Yeah.
And just, throw the book at him.
For sure.
Or the D&D book.
The rules book, man.
Take a book.
It's
throw it at him. All right. What's number 2, Tyler?
Yeah, another one we want to talk about, we like to call the Flake.
The Flake. Like frosted. No. Oh, no, not frosted flakes. I love frosted flakes, though.
Flake is like the person who is very unreliable with his schedule.
All right. The one that says they're going to be there and then actually doesn't show up.
Sure. Or they cancel last minute pretty consistently, or
they're really late all the time.
They're really late. Yeah. Like, scheduling is not a strength of this individual.
Yeah.
And when it's a table with so many people, oftentimes it's kind of awkward to have to wait.
Yeah. So where is Joe? It's we're waiting a half an hour, right? Yeah. We're gonna wait longer, guys. No, let's just start. Right?
There's some good ways to avoid being the Flake.
Yeah, just don't do it.
That could be true for any of these.
You're right. Okay. Real reason.
Like a good real reason is, or a good real way to avoid being the Flake is to just be upfront and honest about your realistic availability.
I mean, I would say like we all have stuff that comes up, right? And we're not
Sure.
talking about just the normal stuff that may come up last minute. We all get it.
Yeah.
And I think you're playing with all your friends and stuff like that. They're going to get it too, right? They're not going to really like think twice about it. It's the habitual people that abuse this.
Sure.
But I agree with you. Be honest. Like if you really have a rough schedule and you have a hard time getting on time or something like that, then maybe you need to change days or change the time you start.
Sure.
Or I don't know, or again, just I know like you'll be late and everybody just knows like, yeah, we'll start without you. When you get here, we're great. We'll keep moving on. It's no big deal, right? And then at least people are aware and not just waiting for you because you keep giving them some random excuse, right?
Another thing you can do is pick someone you trust at the table, share your sheet with them somehow so that they can play you a little bit if you're just going to be like
starts, let them roll your dice for you, right? Unless yours are in jail.
Sure.
Then, then you don't get to roll dice anymore.
You've heard, or you were sharing some real good ways to deal with this though. So if it's at your table, what kind of stuff can you do to deal with like the flake? You were talking about your brother's thing, like what they do at lunchtime with the guy who can't be there all the time.
Oh yeah, I would say you're right. Remind me
with their guy.
Strong memory. Let's see. Intelligence. Oh, I can't make intelligence check because the dice is in jail.
Dice is in jail.
No wonder I failed that check. I just can't roll. That means you fail, right? That's right. I mean, you could come up probably creative ways of why their character may just be in and out periodically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just kind of again maybe if you are a flake and you say, well, I just can't make it every time we play, then just set up a schedule that say like I'll be there every other time. And again, I think DMs will probably have a cool ideas of ways that you're not there. For instance, like you're saying, like my brother's in another campaign and he's got a person in his group who can't always be there all the time. And so what his character, the DM did for his characters, he's like this divine servant of his deity, and his deity will just make him pop in through time and space where he needs to be, and then we'll randomly have him just leave to go do some other task as the story with it. So if he's in there for part of a combat, he's there. If he leaves in the middle of combat, well, that's what he does, So it's kind of a neat, cool story, but also a good reason why, like, he's intermittently there or not, right? Mm-hmm. Although, again, that's the way they dealt with it with that person's schedule, because they knew, like, hey, I just can't always be there all the time, every time that we play, right?
Which is just so great.
It's a great story. I was like, that's a clever, cool idea.
That's a clever way to do it.
Props to that DM. You know, you get a inspiration point.
Yeah, and maybe, again, if you're the person at the table and not the DM,
you can suggest it. Yeah.
Offer that sort of thing as a suggestion, or offer to play his play his
and I think that kind of lends to the idea, if you want to try avoid being it, just have that discussion with the table with your DM. I'm sure you guys can come up with good solutions
because ultimately
if you just talk about it.
You want to keep playing, they want you to keep playing. You just gotta come to an understanding of when.
This one's really close to the third one though.
It is pretty close. What is it?
Oh, I'm gonna say it.
You go. I've done a
the
couple.
Oblivious player. We all know this one.
Yeah.
They're on their phone and they're not paying attention. Hey, Joe, it's your turn. Huh? Oh, where are we at? Whose turn is it? Oh, it's my turn. Right.
Yeah.
I want to cast a spell, guys. Can you wait 5 minutes? Joe. The Oblivious player.
Right, yeah. Mostly, the player that's not maybe listening, maybe missed an important key point of lore or interaction with an NPC, and they've really missed the boat. And they're like, cool, like literally, maybe they literally missed the boat, and they're just okay, I want to go back to that blacksmith. It's like, you're on the whole party's on a boat.
We've left the blacksmith.
You guys aren't even in port anymore.
It's been like 3 days. Why are you at the blacksmith?
Again, these are fun to make fun of, but we've all been it.
We've all
at
done
some
it.
point.
We've all been oblivious at one point.
Yeah.
There's some people who abuse it.
Yeah.
They're chronically oblivious.
Chronically oblivious. That's a better way of putting it. So how do you avoid being the chronically oblivious player? I mean,
I would say if you haven't been called out for it, or you maybe recognize that maybe you are it, I would say find find that thing that's making you be oblivious. Maybe it's your phone.
Sure.
Put your phone away.
Sure.
Help you just kind of get engaged in the game. I would say also too, D&D is a group storytelling experience. Mm-hmm. And if you're being oblivious, I think maybe you're only getting involved in only your story. But again, it's a group story. Like, get involved in other people's members of their party. Get involved in their story, because there's probably ways you can jump in and chime in and interact with that story if you were, paying attention and not oblivious.
That's so true. Yeah, and just as you start engaging more in the table, I mean, D&D is such a game of the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
You probably won't want to look at your phone anymore once you get engaged and going, right?
Right, and part of that is this is also a callback to an earlier principle we've talked about, downtime IRL,
Yeah.
If you're interacting with other people at the table, away when you're not at the table, if you're looking at your spells list and you're coming up with like combos or cool things you want to do, getting excited to go play, then when you're at the table, you'll be more engaged with the story. You won't feel like you need to be picking spells right now or all that other stuff, disengaging and missing things. But I mean, if somebody is chronically oblivious at your table, I mean, a lot of this can just be like have a talk about it, but this one really, it's like
you should talk with the person about it.
You gotta say something.
I mean, especially I think if you're the DM.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm sure this probably annoys you more than it probably annoys the other players. But if it's bugging you as a DM, I guarantee it's probably bugging the other players. If nobody said anything yet, I think again, as your role as the DM, say something about it. Like chime up and talk to the person. You don't need to call them out for the table. I mean, or maybe you do.
Yeah.
I think it kind of depends upon the group and that dynamic. Sure. And I mean, is it your best buds? Is it just some other people that you decide to start playing with, at your local game shop? But have a conversation about it, maybe outside the table, maybe talk, kind of, you have to feel that out as the DM, but I think definitely talk about it.
That might feel awkward. As the DM, it's like you really should be having that conversation, but even if it's another player expressing something like that and being like, hey man, you're missing stuff. You're missing stuff, man. And that's all you have to say. Then they'll put their phone down and go, I don't want to miss stuff. Because they don't want to miss stuff.
I know. I mean, depending on your friends, but like, I like to just like totally straight call them out like hardcore, like, hey, so what's that on your phone? Was it a good tweet? You want to read to the group here? I mean, which kind of feels very like school teacher-esque, but sometimes it's kind of a good solution.
Well, and
again,
as long as it's not done vindictively. Exactly.
Agreed.
Knowing your table.
Don't be mean about it. Nobody wants to be. Nobody
Yeah.
likes mean people.
And if it's not done vindictively, there's a lot of ways as a DM or as another player, you can put them on the spot. You can engage with them and just like having your character just start to role play with them right then and just be like, what do you think about that, Joe? And just have them go, think about what? It's like, I need an answer, man.
Right.
Like,
and see what comes out.
You were listening?
That's one of those fun things about D&D, right? Maybe some random that could come out that, you'll remember for the rest of your life.
That would be excellent. It's like, I think
really
it's good. We should do it. It's like,
next time I'm doing it that way.
We pick up Joe and throw him over the wall.
Yes. I'm falling. Yes.
On the other side.
Roll damage. What?
Fall damage.
Fall damage.
Okay, so this next trope is like the quintessential D&D trope. Like everybody knows this person.
Yeah, I think if any I'm guilty of more often, this is probably the one that I think I tend to get guilty of a lot. So I'll call that out. I tend to be this.
I mean, it aligns a lot with people that have previously DM'd for sure.
I'm sure lots of DMs are probably not like this, but I know I am.
We should say what it is. Rules lawyer.
Yeah, you should say what. Oh, wait. Brad, oblivious.
Yeah, sometimes a rules lawyer.
What's that? Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Rules lawyer. Back to the rules lawyer.
A rules lawyer can almost feel like they're undermining the DM.
I think it can feel like that. Yeah,
that's awkward, and that's hard.
I think, not only that, I think sometimes they can actually slow down the game. Mm-hmm. Like, you sometimes have a good clip or a good pace to the game, and also the rulers that come and says, but that's not what the book says.
Sure.
Which I don't sound like that when I do it. Usually I'm pretty more authoritative. Wait, Tyler. On page 194, paragraph 3, sentence 2. Just kidding. I'm not that specific.
I'm going to clip this away to something I recorded when I was DMing. It's just Brad saying, but that's not what the book says.
Oh, crap. That's on camera. It's never going away. The world's done it.
Just kidding. It's not. I don't have video like that. That'd be funny, though. If you want to avoid being the rules lawyer,
well, I will say, I think, it's kind of funny, but like, you either, sorry,
you can do it.
You either die a rules lawyer or you live life to to get a rule wrong, and then everyone will rush it for the rest of the game and games to come. So be warned to be the rules lawyer, because when that one time you're wrong, it's never gonna end. Nobody will ever trust you again next time when you give a rule right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the don't cry wolf too much.
People will like relish.
Yeah,
the fact that you got something wrong, and it's like that's not a healthy mechanic. It's not fun
unless you have like really cool friends. That's okay.
I guess
and they bring a Dr. Pepper,
I guess
occasionally, or a candy bar. They don't anymore. What happened?
And I mean, something important that I think isn't said enough is that rules are not controversial. So if you're trying to bring up a rule or people are talking about rules and it feels like controversial, you're doing it wrong.
Well, sure, because at the end of the day, like we're playing a game, right? And we're playing Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder because we like these rules. We all agreed to play by these rules.
Sure.
But I agree with you. The rules are not controversial. I think it's the way or your timing is what's controversial.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. If the DM feels undermined, maybe they'll just kind of like dig in and now you've got kind of a trench warfare of ideas as opposed to the rule says this, DM, how do you read that? The DM makes a decision and the game keeps going.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing. But if you remember as a person, like the rules are not controversial and you're trying to bring up a rule and people are like taking it wrong, it's just a game.
Right.
Like back off and go, okay, it's
Move
fine.
on.
We can, if you would like, we can talk about it later, or just whatever your call is, I'll roll with it. You know,
and I would agree that's kind of a good way to deal with it, right? Yeah. Is like if you're the DM, just be like that. We're gonna go with this ruling for now to keep the game moving.
Yeah.
And then we'll check on it later. Next time we play, we'll just make sure we get it right. You know?
And just remember keep the game moving. What you want, because what you want is not to be right every time, stop the game, frustrate people. Correct. What you want is to play the game and have fun with your friends.
Have fun, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Fun factor. It's important.
Yeah. But the rules lawyers at your tables, not to say only as a DM, but as a player too, what do you do to deal with it?
Yeah, I would say I would say, they're actually good because you can lean on them, right? When maybe everyone does have a question, like, how do we do that, right? Ask the rules lawyer, right? Call them and say, hey, what's the rule on this, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't know it off the top of their head, they're probably really good at finding it really fast.
Yeah.
Right? And you can go with it. Or again, like if you're the DM, I just would say like, hey, like make your call and say, like, this is the call I'm making. It may or may not be right or wrong, but for the sake of game, we're going to keep moving on with this and we'll look at it after the game, right? And then you can... Again, I've done the stuff like too. Like I've gotten stuff wrong sometimes that we've looked it up later. Like, oh yeah, next time we play, next session, we'll make sure that we do it like this because that's the way it is, right?
Absolutely, I agree with that, and I think that a rules lawyer can be a really great resource when they are utilized in the right way. You know,
sure.
And sometimes that's driven from them, but other times people at the table can help point them and direct them by not getting offended, remembering rules are not controversial, and just saying. Agreeing everybody and saying, well, I think we want to move on from this. Let's hear what the DM has to say. I can agree with you. It's fine. But let's see what the DM has to say and move on.
For sure.
And bring up your little quest markers you still have on the map and be like, look, man, I want to get into the cave tonight. Let's move on.
Right. Really want to get the cave. It's got the sword.
Remember, the goal is not to argue about rules. The goal is to get into the cave and get the sword,
right?
Man.
We all want the loot tonight.
Absolutely.
Not next night. I agree. And your book is in the way.
That's right.
All right. Good. All right. So what's the fifth one, Tyler?
The fifth trope, and this is a really interesting one. I don't think I've heard really anybody talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does, but we all know it's there.
We all know it. We like to call it the dice fudger.
The dice fudger.
What's the dice fudger, Brad?
Well, they're the ones that only like to get good rolls. So no matter what, they only get good rolls. Look, I rolled flip it over the dice. I got a 19.
Sure. Yeah.
I got a 20.
Yeah.
You got a 20 I know. How many 12s you rolled tonight? Doesn't matter. My dice are lucky tonight. They're hot.
I'm having a really great night. You seem to have good nights.
All nights. Every night. Every time we play.
To have a lot of good
Every
nights.
time, Joe, you have a good dice rolls. What's your problem?
How do we avoid being a dice fudger?
Look, the thing is I actually think some of the most fun, interesting moments actually happen with the bad roll.
Yeah.
I say, all the time it's like I think some of the moments I remember the most are like, oh yeah, when you got like that bad persuasion check and we had to like, deal with all the guards afterwards.
Yeah.
That was funny, right? That was hilarious. Like, I think interesting, fun stuff happens. I think it's good to remember that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too to remember is like, it's just a game.
Yeah.
Like, the DM wants you to succeed and have fun too.
Sure.
And even when you fail, I think you'll still find ways to make it work out.
Absolutely. Yeah. That variety, that depth and breadth of the game. If you fudge your dice rolls, you're kind of missing out on a big part of the game, which is problem solving when things start to go from bad to worse, or if they start to go from good to bad, like problem solving against the wall, like that kind of stuff can just really be fun.
I know. Fun. This was a game with Tyler, right? We had to fight a dragon.
Oh boy.
And we all teleported as a party. We're like, yes, we're going to take on this dragon. We got it.
Teleported right in front of him.
And then we all rolled.
Very brash.
We all rolled bad initiative rolls.
Right.
Horrible. Everybody, 5 of us rolled horrible initiative rolls.
Dragon rolled really good.
Really good at the top, and just breath attacks all of us. And we're like, oh no, we're like almost dead. And I was like, wow, my whole strategy we had out the window. And I was like, okay, we gotta, and it was fun. I was like, for me, I'm like panicking, like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I love my wizard. He's really cool.
Brad talks about this fight all the time, and it's a good
fun
illustration
fight.
To say.
I'll start with the bad roll.
When things go bad.
It's fun.
It can really elevate the game and just like create those high stakes situations. Remember, death in D&D is a
permanent.
Feature.
Right.
It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's supposed
to
be there. It wasn't a mistake.
There know what the difference between a bug and a feature is. No,
right.
You're right. It's
right.
part. It's a point in the game. It's not the end of the game. It's not like when you die, the game is over.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's exactly right. The only time
no
a D&D ends is if you stop playing.
Yeah, that's when the game ends.
You can roll new characters as long as you.
And I would say, like, pro tip to you DMs out there, like, just remember that, like, just because they failed doesn't mean like the worst possible things happen. Like, I like to remember like degrees of failure, right? Like, just because they failed, there's like, you have to require many failures to have them really have something really bad happen.
Yeah.
So, degrees of failure.
But if you attack the chicken, it's reasonable that the entire town attacks them. It's
for sure, because you always know you don't attack the chickens.
In every game.
It's what you do, guys. Never attack the chickens. Not a good idea.
So, high level, there's a few things, like, just these work for any trope.
I say, table culture, like, just make it like a bad thing. If you're a player, somebody doing, like, come on, dude, that's not cool. Call out people for it. I also say too, like, an easy way to avoid it usually that I like to do, you're not necessarily have to call anybody out for doing it. Just kind of be like, yeah, like on your turn is when you do dice rolls. You don't there's no pre-rolling the success or failure, a D20 roll on something outside your turn.
Yeah,
like,
mechanically that's really good. Don't roll until the DM says.
I know the rules lawyer. I'm pretty sure it says that in the book.
But yeah, you shouldn't be rolling checks before the DM says, and it's like, okay, hey, I want to stealth in.
But I had that roll. I had that
stealth.
20.
I rolled a 20.
I had that 20 from like 20 minutes ago.
Roll it now. Roll it now.
I know. Roll
that
it
kind
now.
of thing.
Really?
And it's not like nobody should feel like they're being accused. This is a mechanic that should be in your table culture. Roll when the DM says, and roll. I mean, you were saying, like, sometimes you got a lot to roll when it's your turn.
Sure, roll your damage, or again, see what's your table established to do. Like, what's that thing?
And in our table,
we like to pre-roll damage.
Pre-roll damage.
Again, it keeps things moving faster. You roll from that fireball, have the damage ready to go.
Sure.
So you're not, like, waiting the 5 minutes for you to roll your 9d6, right?
But if I'm hitting something with my hammer, I want to go ahead and roll my fire damage and my bludgeoning damage, but then I wait. And I don't roll to hit until it's my turn. Right. And so I roll to hit, and I say DM does a 18 hit, and you say yes or no, and then I tell you the damage.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Your stuff has really high ACs, but that's okay. I do too.
You have a higher AC than my guys do.
24 with Shield of Faith, man. It's good.
And that's why only a crit hits him, and he just goes down to one hit.
That's fair. Yeah,
just kidding.
It's what I built, so it's what I got to live with.
That's why the temperature.
There are some evergreen ways to get out of having tropes in any table, any situation.
For sure.
And a lot of it has to do with talking. As we've been discussing, we've tried to bring up ways that you can deal with it. You can kind of make it into a strength almost, right?
Right.
So it's like you're a clown, and that's okay. You're gonna get to start triggering all of these real world mechanics that I've built in. Now you've got this bounty hunter hunting you, and it's like, that's cool flavor to the game.
And you have the Assassin's Guild after you.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
And you have a lot after you. And one of them is going to
He's thought about this a lot.
One is probably going to kill you. I don't know which one, but one's going to get you eventually.
And then you roll a new character, and that's
fun
roll a new
too. Character, and it's really fun. You get started all over. If you want to do it again, great. We'll keep this going. I'm here all week. Actually, not next week.
But yeah, utilize the rules lawyer, and just build in a mechanic that's just part of your table culture that you roll when the DM's looking, and bada bang. It's simple.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, again, I think we mentioned table culture a lot, but really I think a lot of stuff comes down to just establishing that from the get-go when you start a campaign, right? Like, again, just establishing expectations. For anybody who's worked in any job ever, they probably know this is a pretty good principle to follow, like managing proper expectations with people, and DMs to players, players to players, like players to DMs, like just do that correct. And again, I think a lot of these times you probably won't have these problems from the get-go, or if they're there, they're probably very minor.
Sure.
And not probably as big as we all like to make fun of. I think they are.
Definitely. So. Yeah. What's our +1?
Oh, the +1. it's just like those people that are just
awkward.
like, I know. It's like nobody hopefully you don't have to deal with this or you haven't had to, but it's like those really toxic like players.
Yeah.
They're just like truly like toxic. That's like, they're just like, why are you at the table, right? It's not like any of the others you could probably deal with. It's like they're just horrible. They're a pill.
Other people at the table don't like them. It just sort of kills the fun.
Kills the mood, kills the flavor, kills everything.
It's rough. Now, there's a very specific way to approach this. Like, there's not a lot of ways of saying how to avoid being totally toxic other than just saying, don't be toxic, man.
And if you're a toxic person, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you.
That's rough. That's a hard way to live, man.
It really is.
But if you have a toxic player at your table, especially as the DM, but as any player, you should absolutely talk with them as much as you're comfortable with. You should give them as many chances as you're willing to give, but you need to step up and be willing to ask them to leave.
Right. I mean, if it's your friend, like,
that's rough.
It's rough, but there's other things you guys can do together that don't involve D&D, hopefully, right?
It's true.
And again, at the end of the day, you're there to have fun. It's not only for that person to have fun; it's for everybody at the table to have fun. That's the goal, to have fun. And when somebody just kind of seems to always kill the fun, it's like, come on. Unfortunately, it's not probably the answer everybody wants, but
right.
I think it's what you got to come down and do. So
absolutely, step up, do the hard thing,
do the hard stuff in life, guys. Get bad dice rolls. It's worth it. I promise.
Absolutely, so true.
Your DM might give you bonus experience for it.
No kidding.
I don't give bonus experience for bad dice rolls, but maybe your DM does. I don't know.
That could be cool. Hey,
if a player role plays it fun, I give him inspiration though. Anyways, though, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. We appreciate it. We're Motley Mimic. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, right. I think that was a pretty good.
That's a pretty good video.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Oh, it's breaking out, dude. Oh man, jeez, dude, gotta keep that thing back in Dice Show, man.
Not today, son.
No, good spot.
Not today.
Good perception check there, Tyler. He almost did it.
I caught it with my passive.
Caught your passive. All right.